Do you need encouragement to turn tragedies into your own triumphant life story? If so, this podcast is for you. Listen to powerful guests who have persevered through challenges so you can gain strength to build your championship life. The host of Professor of Perseverance podcast, Dr. James Perdue.
Hey, it's time for us to get started. Time to get some little inspiration, especially this time of the year. It's Christmas coming along. We're a little more than a week. And then old Santa Claus is visiting. Get all the kids all fired up. Mom and dad be tired, but that's okay. That's the way it works. Christmas is coming. All right. Boy, I tell you, one of the Christmas things, I'll do this later on, but listening to The Christmas Guest by Grandpa Jones. It's one of my favorites during this time of the year. All right, just going to get started with the show today. Hey, we got a guy here who survived 2 widowmakers. For the ones that don't know, he'll explain what widowmakers are, and he revealed the truth about his purpose, resilience, and the illusion of having it all. The mindset shift, required to turn trauma into transformation. All right, welcome to the show, Adrian AJ Jones.
Hello, Doctor. Good to be here. And that video vignette got me really fired up for our conversation there.
So, there we go. Thank you. I appreciate
thanks for having me on.
So, and you got your own podcast, Code 3.
That's it. Code 3, Life Reinvented.
There we go. And so we have to listen to a couple of your episodes. I didn't know you had a podcast till we got here talking. So, all right. I appreciate you being here and everything. And so, widowmaker, explain to us what a widowmaker is, and then go ahead and put us into your story where you see best for us to get started.
Sure thing. And yeah, it's great to be here, and happy holidays to all your listeners out there. However you celebrate, wherever you celebrate, I hope it's a wonderful season for you, full of joy and family. So what's a widowmaker? Well, it's a certain kind of heart attack where your artery, a specific artery known as the left anterior descending artery, becomes 100% blocked by a plaque rupture or plaque blockage in that artery. When that happens and you have full occlusion or blockage of that artery, that is known as the widowmaker. And they call it a widowmaker for good reason, because if you suffer one, you often don't survive. And henceforth, they call it the widowmaker. I have had the good fortune of surviving 2 of those. It's a club I never thought I would ever be a part of. I guess I'm glad to be here. I mean, what you take the glass half full?
Yeah. Which is what you saw in your notes over here. 10% of the people make it.
Yeah, I mean, there's the numbers are a little bit all over the place, but let's just say outside the hospital, 10%, 12% of the people survive a widowmaker. That doesn't mean they go back to normal. Typically, they might have some lasting impairment of their cardiac functions. But I've survived 2 of these, and just simple math puts my odds of sitting here with you today at around a little under 1.5%. So that data point is not lost on me, and it is a result of both of them that I do what I do now. And maybe this would be a good chance or segue for me to dive into a little bit of my journey and my story of perseverance, if you're okay. Okay, great.
Yeah, so go ahead.
Yeah, so I'll paint a little bit of a tapestry here just to give some context. So my wife and I were living in the San Francisco area. I'm a native Californian. I was in financial services for many years. I got my MBA at UCLA and was doing strategy work. In fact, I started in management consulting out of my MBA program, and then moved into doing strategy work for large wealth management and asset management organizations like Wells Fargo or BlackRock or Charles Schwab. And during that time, we welcomed a daughter and then a son into our family, and we moved to over the Golden Gate Bridge to a place called Marin County. And we were living smack dab in the center of Marin County, and I was commuting about 3 hours a day, all in, to get to and from the financial district in San Francisco. But to me, that was my normal. I had a job with a nice title and a nice compensation plan. had a chance to impact the business, hopefully positively, but had an opportunity to really play a role there, and that was exciting. But it all changed on October 8th, 2016, and that was a Saturday, so you don't have to check your calendars. I was mountain biking with 3 friends of mine. Marin County, this little fun fact, is the birthplace of mountain biking. If you ever get that trivia question in a trivia game or a trivia night at your local pub, it was in Marin County. Crested Butte people might argue with that, but anyways, very hilly, tons of trails. But to get to the good trails, you have to climb up into the hills, and that some of those hill climbs are very strenuous. And it was going up one of those ascents when, frankly, I lost all the strength in my legs. It's like someone hit the off switch on my legs, and I had to stop. And my friends rode ahead, and I gathered myself and said, "Come on, pull yourself together. What's going on? You've done this ride with these guys, this very same climb, this very same ride with this very same group of guys a number of times. Like, this should not be an issue."
Yeah.
But it was. I didn't know what was happening. When I caught up to them, they were waiting for me at a trail juncture. When I caught up to them, it's all I could do to get off my bike. The world started spinning in the most terrifying and haunting way. It was one of the worst few seconds of my life, I think, because I did know what was happening, and it was really unsettling. I started to vomit violently all over the place. Sorry for the TMI bomb there, but
no, go ahead.
I'm always trying to share the symptoms
We're
so
open.
we could recognize when it happens to you or your friends or loved ones. So just got really sick all over the place. And in my mind, I was thinking, gosh, you're such a fat, out of shape old man and you need to eat better and exercise more. In reality, what was happening to me was much more sinister. When I was done vomiting, I looked at my friends and said, "Let's keep climbing." And thank goodness to a person, they all said, "No way, something's really wrong. We need to go down." And on the descent, the pain started to appear in my chest. It was awful. They say it feels like an elephant sitting on your chest. Yeah, that's true. I also like to say it feels like you have a million pins in your chest cavity, and every time you breathe, those pins are pressed against your heart and chest. It just really hurts. And then I couldn't ride my bike anymore. I was too weak, and I was throwing up everywhere. And I ended up walking down the trail with my friends to the trailhead where there were cars in the parking lot that were waiting for us. That walk took 40 minutes. And then my friend got me in a car and raced me to the hospital. And that's where I found out I was having a heart attack. And anyways, that's just a lot of background. But I think where things might get particularly interesting is once I, yes, I went to the hospital. Yes, they put defibrillators on my chest. Yes, they literally ran with me down the hall into the cath lab to clear the blockage and put in a stent in that artery. Once I was discharged from work and I was put on leave for 4 months, I would lay in bed and stare at the ceiling and ask the universe why I survived. What am I supposed to do with the second chance of life? What's the playbook? Do I go back to that old world, or do I find something else to do? Do I resign and become a stay-at-home dad, or try to write the next great American novel, or give back to the greater good in the form of teaching, or join the Peace Corps? Like, what do I do? We have bills to pay, but I'm not sure that doing what I was doing before makes the most sense. So universe, help me out, right? And it did eventually. It answered me like a lightning bolt to my soul. And it said, use your story to help and inspire others.
Amen, brother.
And that's, yeah, right. Amen. And I didn't know it at the time. Well, I guess I did. I knew at that moment, this is my new life's mission. I saluted it, if you will, and said, this is it. I don't know how this is going to come about or what form or fashion. I have no earthly idea what's going to take place, but this is what I am going to do, and I'm going to figure it out. And so that was
one step at a time.
Yeah, you better believe it. And so,
hey, we got the Jan Fansler coming in, and Dead America host Ed Waters. Thank you for coming in. Ed said, never underestimate the time you have on earth here. Be thankful. And Jan, her mama, had one of those. Said her doctor said you usually don't find it until an autopsy. So, yeah. And then she went on and said, Jan says, only God could get you off of that mountain, off that trail. So, yeah. All right.
Those
So
are some
yeah.
profound comments, and thank you for those.
So
Yeah, there's a lot of a higher power, depending on your belief system. There's some crazy stuff going on. So what I did is I went back to work.
hold on before you go there.
Yep.
Before
Yeah.
you did say a while ago now perseverance. So before we go any further, you said the word perseverance. Let me give you a fist bump. Oh, we're in slow motion. There we go.
Right back at you.
Yeah. All right. Sorry to interrupt you, but I always give the fist bump when someone sneaks a perseverance in.
There you go. Well,
All right.
I'm trying to impress the professor here. So basically, I went back to work, figuring that I would just start there, and I realized this wasn't going to work. I lasted about 5 months, and I left. And on the way out the door, a friend of mine who runs a wealth management firm very generously asked me if I'd like to join him for a year or so to help him with some things and help me sort of stabilize my own life. It was an incredibly generous act by a very kind person. And I accepted that. And I started to dabble with this helping and inspiring others. I started to blog anonymously because coming from a very highly regulated industry like the world I was in, you had to be really careful what you put out in the universe.
Okay.
So I was starting to blog about 3 things. First was heart disease prevention and awareness, obviously. And if I can create awareness and drive preventative action, I'm going to do it all day long. Number 2, I'm an adoptee. As a result of this heart attack, I determined that I needed to go find out if this is a genetic situation. Is this congenital? Not only for me, but for my 2 kids and their children.
Yes.
And that story, quite frankly, there are several podcast episodes out there about it, but it's been remarkable. And let's suffice it to say, I'm very, very lucky. I found both biological parents and 3 half sisters, and they have accepted, acknowledged, and embraced me as one of their own. It's been a beautiful situation. More
deal.
love in my life, my wife's life, and my children's life. So it doesn't always happen that way, but it did for me.
That's true. I just last year met up with my half brother. I knew my dad remarried, had him, but I never knew his name. And
no kidding.
And so he reached out on me at Facebook last year, and my brother and I, we went and met with our half brother, and I'm glad he reached out. So yeah, but like you said, it's not always that positive, but I'm like you, my end of it was positive.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad to hear that. Thanks for sharing. I did not know that fun fact about you. And I've been very lucky. So the second thing I was out talking about was around adoptee advocacy and how to reunite with your biological kin, not the family that raised you, but your first family or your biological family, however you want to say it. Which all led me to something that hadn't crystallized in my brain at that time, but it was formulating way in the recesses of the labyrinth that is my brain. And it was around this notion of living your authentic truth, who you are as an individual, who you are as a person. And it took me a while to get there, but suffice it to say that in January of 2024, I left the world of financial services in 23. In January 2024, I started a company called More, M-O-R-E, and the whole design there was to help people, namely Gen Xers, as I am part of the X generation myself, get more out of life through a community, through retreats, through career coaching services. It would be a subscription-based business, and I had a partner, and we took a big swing at this, and we got it rolling. It's messy getting a business off the ground, and we were trying to figure it all out on the fly. What's the saying? Building the airplane when you're in the air, kind of a thing. But that's kind of the fun of it, and you've just got to put things out and try and learn as you go. And lo and behold, Saturday, April 13th of 2024, our kids now are at college at this time. So we're empty nesters. My wife was out running errands, and I came home from the gym, being a good little survivor, continuing to work on my heart, and walked into the shower, put shampoo in my hair, and next thing you know, I felt a very familiar and extremely unwelcome pain in my chest. And I knew right away that this could only be one thing. I got out of the shower as quickly as I could. I called my wife, and she said, "What are you doing? Call 911. I'm coming home immediately." I called 911. 3 minutes and 40 seconds later, it was like a scene out of the movies with lights and sirens outside the house.
Yeah.
It was like a disco ball of blue and red lights splashing all around the neighborhood.
I would imagine this discomfort, pain, everything. I would imagine it's burned in your head since you lived through it once, and you're going. Oh, I know exactly what's going on now.
Yeah. Oh no. And this time, unlike the first time, I didn't know what was going on with me until I got to the emergency room and they told me I was having a heart attack before they took me to the cath lab. This time, I knew exactly what was happening, and I had done 7 years of thinking and research around surviving in the catastrophe that is a heart attack. So I knew that every second counted at this point. So my fear meter spiked. And I knew that the things that I could do were to breathe, stay calm, have a very confident mindset that this would not be my day. That is where the paramedic in the cabin of the ambulance called in a code 3, which for those who know the EMS code levels, code 3 means a life-threatening situation. Prepare the emergency room. We're coming in hot, and it's lights and sirens to the emergency or urgent. Well, typically it's emergency room, right? So that's where we went. Luckily, the hospital was about 3.5 miles away. And once again, I had another fully occluded widowmaker heart attack event, and I had a second stent installed right next to my first stent.
Wow.
And as I got out of the hospital after that, you can imagine, oh man, there was a lot of why me? Why again? I was doing all the things right. Like this felt like the ultimate leg sweep. You know, when someone kicks your feet out from underneath you, I felt like, why did this happen? This is so unfair. I mean, I had a lot of emotional distress. I mean, I was Humpty Dumpty getting put back together again, not just in the physical sense, but in the emotional and spiritual sense that needed to get stitched back up because I had done everything I could to make my first heart attack be a one and done situation. And now I had a second one that was obviously very unexpected. It shook me to my core. My cardiologist told me to retire after this. He said, Adrian, we have a couple of these, and I think it's time we are realistic. And it's probably time for you to retire and take care of your health and enjoy your life. And I said, wait a minute, doctor, is this a subtle way for us to lean into the conversation about getting my affairs in order?
Yeah.
And he said, no, your prognosis is good. However, you've got a track record now and you have unstable arterial plaque. So you have to manage your stress and you have to do all this stuff. Well, I just started a company. There's nothing about being an entrepreneur and being stress-free that is similar and can be put in the same sentence.
That's right.
But as I sat with his words in my mind after we met, all I could think of is I'm not ready to quit or retire. I have unfinished business. And that is to get out there and help people get more out of life. And so what I did is I determined I would recreate more in a different format. I would write a book sharing my view, my memoir, but also my views on authenticity. That book is coming out in 2026. And from that was born a whole methodology that I have used to find my authentic truth, enabling me to be 100% me and how I show up in the world professionally or otherwise. And I've redesigned more. And we have a whole new website called bemorealigned.com. It is built around coaching, curriculum, and community. And I can get into that if you'd like. But I think the bottom line, given the nature of your show, is to think about how do we make pain into our purpose and show levels of perseverance that you didn't know that you had.
Before you get into that, now let me go back and ask this question here. You were already mountain biking trail with the boys before this happened all of a sudden. I would think you would be somewhat healthy. You at least look at you and go, that guy's healthier than I am, And so is there any explanation? Is genetics play a part of this? You're eating ice creams when the wife's in bed sleeping and getting that extra, you know what I'm saying? So what do they think may have caused this?
Yeah, for sure. So 80% of heart disease we control by diet and by exercise and lifestyle. 20% they say is genetic. So as I alluded to earlier, I went and found my biological family seeking answers because you're right. I'm a healthy guy. I don't smoke. My diet could be better, but I didn't think there was anything wrong because I'm active. I exercise and I'm very aware of the amount of red meat in the form of beef that I was ingesting on a regular basis because I did have elevated cholesterol for a number of years.
Mhm.
So it wasn't like I was eating, 16-ounce ribeye steaks and having 3 martinis and smoking
Ooh,
cigars and
it does sound good though, doesn't it?
yeah, I've got the good old days.
I hear you.
And
Right.
have a pint of sea salted caramel ice cream or whatever it is. Like it
Yeah,
wasn't the
yeah, yeah.
program. And it still happened. So when I found my biological family, I started asking these questions like, hey, is this something I should be aware of? Like, what do you know from your family history? And lo and behold, yes, it does indeed run in my genes in the maternal side of my
Okay.
genes. So my biological mother's side of the family, heart disease is a serial killer, taking out people at relatively young ages, left, right, and center. And so that was information I wish I had had 20 or 30 years ago, if not
Oh, yeah,
longer. I
yeah,
don't
yeah,
know
yeah,
what
yeah.
younger me would have done with that information. I might have in my 20s just blown it off. But I doubt I
Well,
would
I was
have.
gonna say, if you would be like me in my 20s, you would consider yourself invincible.
Well, that's
I
it.
know it runs through the family, but it's not gonna happen to me. You'd have done all that, and then it would
Yes,
have
sir.
happened. But, yeah,
Exactly.
but, yeah, yeah, being
Yeah.
an athlete and a mountain bike rider, yeah, you would have been going, "Oh, phew, but I'm exercising, it's not gonna happen to me."
Yeah, that's sure. I'm made of rubber. Those bullets aren't going to
Yeah.
hit me. All the things. That's probably what I would have done. But still, it's a privilege of knowledge about my body that I didn't have, and I think that's where I get a little frustrated by some things out there. But anyways, now that I know this, we're on top of things like crazy and on and on. But it's knowing that I had a second one, it was always planted this little seed of doubt. Like, well, if I'm doing everything right, there's still a chance. So it comes down to, well, if that's the case, what am I doing right now to make the most of this and to be me in every way possible and show up the way I want to and live life on my terms. I don't want to wear masks to please
Mhm.
anyone. I don't want to. Certainly, I'm married and I have children, a family, so there's some levels of expectations I need to honor for sure. But at the
Yes.
same time, the ladder I was climbing, both the life ladder and the professional ladder that I was climbing, I found, at least on the professional side, was starting to lean on against the wrong wall, and I needed to get off that ladder and build a new one, leaning against a newer wall that was befitting of kind of where I am right now. And that was a huge shift, massive shift. I walked away from a long career in financial services, doing very well financially, et cetera, to start this company and become an entrepreneur and be in service of others. Where ROI, the I in that equation to me is impact. It's not return on investment; it's return
Yes,
on
yes, yes.
impact. And what kind of impact can I make with the time I have left to help others get more out of life, to get alignment? And when I say alignment, it's getting your authentic truth, your actions, and your ambitions to be in concert and not in conflict. So when everything that we're building it more is around that notion of alignment. So
Well, and, developing the impact to help other people, and like you're saying, a lot I don't know a lot of them, I don't know the percentage, but some people are fooling themselves because they're trying to play this other game of let everybody else think who they think they are. And so they got to, like I said, to get a true impact, they're going to have to wake up and be honest with themselves. And where we got to make, well, an example I'm going to with this is my grandfather. He was mid 60s, had a massive heart attack and stroke. But before
mhm,
all that, he was told by his doctor, you need to start doing this, stop doing this. And after he had all that, was in a nursing home and a hospital. My grandmother in the back room would find candy bar wrappers hidden under the mattress, back in the closet. And he
mhm,
just wasn't being honest with himself, but
mhm.
trying to play the game with them to let him think he was doing good. So,
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know the percentage. I'm sure there's statistics out there that I just don't have at my fingertips,
yeah.
nor have I seen. But the people who you go through something traumatic, you go back to your old ways because it's familiar. It's what you know, and it's what makes you feel good. And I think when you have these wake up calls, it's a wake up call, and there's a reason you have it, and you need to answer it. At least that's my advice. So, like your
I
grandpa.
surprisingly, but you're right. A lot of us, we straighten up because we're supposed to get better and be healthier and stuff, but sometimes we revert back because we felt more comfortable where we were. And my exact story for this, because I was surprised this happened. I went to this rehab. I don't know if you know, but I'm in a wheelchair. I got my neck broke playing football. And I went to this rehab and met this recreational advisory there. And she was into bodybuilding, looked good. And I asked the therapist about her. They said, well, she weighed over 300 pounds. Doctor said she needed to lose it. Well, when she got to losing, she got into bodybuilding and she got into competing. 5 years later, I go back to visit people at that rehab, just see how they're doing everything. And this woman had quit working out and gone back to the 300 pounds, just said she wasn't happy. She wanted to go back. She said, I'd rather, die a little younger than, like I said, being comfortable and then going through all the strict stuff that she was doing to stay in that fitness shape. So, but yeah, people, not everybody, but quite a few, revert because it's more comfortable.
It's more comfortable. I mean, how many diets fail? Like 90% of all diets, people on diets go back to their original weight because they just slip into those old habits. Yeah, it's hard. It's definitely very, very hard. But and thanks for sharing that little nugget. I didn't know you were in a wheelchair.
Got my neck broke playing football, but rehab, I loved her. She was awesome and everything. And I mean,
Yeah.
I just went and saw her. Of course, talked to her, tell her hi and everything. Went back to the therapist. Said, "What happened with?" And they said, "Yeah, she said she wasn't enjoying life that way, and she'd rather go back the other way and be happy." I said, "Well, as long as she's happy, but go back to the comfort." Hey, MC Nimbus Radio, thank you for coming in. And yeah, I wouldn't put the word pathetic, but I understand where you're coming from. That being happy is the main thing, and if that's what she wanted, who am I to question that? So I understand what you're saying, though, because I would hope I wouldn't do that, but who knows? I may do that one day.
Who knows, right? And I've heard people use this expression, and I find it so interesting given what I've been through. But I've heard people say, "I'm here for a good time, not a long time." It's kind of an interesting thing to think about,
That is,
right?
yeah,
Like,
that is.
do you
I've never
want-
heard that before, but
yeah,
that does
like,
make you think.
it,
I
that,
could
that,
have
that-
a good time and live long, but it's yep. But it shows you where their mindset is.
well,
So,
that's it, right? And is it a binary thing? It's either good time or a long time. You have to choose, or can it be both? I prefer both.
hmm
But I
hmm
know people who have said that knowing that they are making lifestyle decisions that is to their the detriment of their longevity. But they
yeah,
say, "Hey, I'm just here to have a good time. When it's over, and then so be it."
yep. And again, who am I to question their judgment? It's their
Mhm.
lifestyle, and
That's
if
right.
they're happy with it, I'm not going to be one to beat the door down and get frustrated and stressed out, and may have a heart attack trying to get them straight. So,
Don't
I
have
mean,
a
I
heart
can
attack.
I can only give my advice and say this is what I would do, but
That's right.
to you got the power for yourself. So, all right, so AJ, so with this, have y'all done any testing or anything, or is there any testing for your children to know? Because I know all this technology stuff nowadays, they can do all these DNA and whatever else, and so I didn't know, have y'all done any testing to see if they're prone to this, or is it one of them? We'll know when it happens, or if it happens. Hopefully, it doesn't
Well,
happen. Hopefully, it doesn't. But
yeah. I mean, so the quick answer is we haven't done any. There are some very significant tests that one can do, and we have not done that with them. I think the reality is that this is in their genes, and they have to be aware. They're both
yeah,
in their early 20s. One's 23, one's 21, and um, they've had a diet modeled to them through me and my wife too now,
hmm
where what does it mean? Well, after my first heart attack, we went from an everyday diet. I don't know how best to describe it quickly, but
oh yeah.
just eating
Oh, that's where
eating things,
everybody
eating
slams it
everything in
down. And
moderation.
I remember my
Yeah.
dad had a heart attack when he was younger, and they had this thing called no salt. That
Mhm.
it's a substitute salt for it, and yeah, we all had to be on it, and I'm 14 years old on this,
Yeah.
because
Yeah,
make it easier for him, we all did it, and so
that's
yeah,
right.
so yeah,
Yeah,
they've experienced, your dieting from there, yeah.
exactly. Yeah. So we went in 2016, we went from just about eating anything and everything to the Mediterranean diet, which is predominantly things that fly and things that swim,
Hmm,
and,
hmm.
and not processed foods and
Yeah,
lots of legumes and beans and things like that. And then after the second one, we moved to pretty much a vegetarian diet. I say pretty much. My daughter likes to give me a really hard time because I'll sneak in some sushi. Because as far as I'm concerned, you're taking sushi out of my cold dead hands. There's no way I'm giving him
there you
sushi
go,
or
there you
having
go.
some fish here and there. Or maybe if I'm at someone's house and they're serving some chicken, I'll have a little bit just to enjoy
Hmm.
what they prepared. But for the most part, it's a vegetarian program, and now they know that, and hopefully we've modeled these behaviors. They're on notice that this is could be a condition for them. I think when they get a little bit older, it'll be time for them to really dig into this, looking at their calcium scores and some other
Yeah,
things. I mean, I don't want them to
I'm
live
one of
in
them.
fear, but I want them to live aware.
That's exactly. I was getting ready to say. I don't know if I mean, the knowledge you have would be enough for me. Okay. I don't think I'd want to test it and they go, yep, you got it. And you need to be on your best behavior for the next 10 years because
Yeah,
what are you living then if you're having to walk through eggshells, and not living life? I
that's right.
think enough information is enough. I don't need the testing to prove it to know for sure or not. So,
Yeah, yeah.
all right. Well, I don't know of anything else other than um, appreciate you being here and sharing your story. Now, do you want to get into your for a few minutes with your coaching program, your wellness program, and give people some help with that and how to find you?
Yeah. Well, thanks for that. So, again, the business is called More, and the website is bemorealigned.com. I talked about when we launched More in early 2024, uh, and then and even into 2025, the real focus was around careers and career wellness and helping people find, I guess I'll use the word alignment in their career, and their life, so that uh, you can actually find wellness through a career. Because how often do you see the two words side by side, career and wellness? Um,
Hmm.
not terribly often, but I think it can be done. I think when you find the right job that lights you up and feel like you're making an impact, you can find a real source of joy and purpose, and that can bring you that element of wellness. That's what we were all about. And what I realized, actually not that long ago, was that the problem I'm actually helping people solve isn't around the career and the wellness within their career and their profession, but actually it's alignment, and it's their alignment with their truth of who they are. And once you understand and you are radically honest with yourself about what you care about, your non-negotiables, your core values, and all these sorts of things, it becomes a lot easier to build out. Okay, from here, now that I've got this foundation in place, now I can build out, whether it's in the career side of my life or other elements of my life. And so the notion is actually, let's solve for alignment. Then we can tackle other things like careers. So bemorealigned.com is the website. Check it out. The site just literally went up yesterday.
There we
So
go.
this is, yeah, I guess I'm hitting the press junket, right? So
There you go.
excited to get that out there and get some feedback. And then the podcast we talked about, Code 3 Life Reinvented, it really explores how we can reinvent our lives through those that have done it, and as well talking to authors and luminaries and academics and so forth who study human potential in that way. So I'm excited to bring that podcast. It's out there. You can find it anywhere. Yeah. And lastly, I've got a little Instagram channel. If anyone here is on Instagram, it's more_starts_here, more_starts_here on Instagram. So those would be the ways to find me. Please do. I'd love to hear from you. And yeah, thank you so much for giving me an opportunity to talk a bit about what I'm
Yes,
doing.
sir, AJ. And I'll definitely get this information put in the show notes from there. And Dad America with Ed Waters. He's a great conversation. Thank you for sharing. And Jan has a question here. Jan, she says, do you still ride your mountain bike?
Jan, thank you for that comment. So the answer is yes, kind of, sort of. So
There you go.
after
That's
that
right.
first heart attack in 2016, I did get back on my mountain bike in early 2017, and I rode very regularly on all the old trails that I was familiar with in that old area in Marin County. But for some reason, about 3 years ago, I just burned out. And I honestly stopped riding my bike. I would ride the bike at the gym, but for some reason, I just lost the desire for no good reason. I don't know. It just the the inspiration left me. But I
Mhm.
did get back on the bike, and it was a demon I had to conquer, and I wanted to conquer it and show the world, mainly myself, that I could get back on that bike, literally, as the expression goes. And I did, and I felt really, really good. That
Well,
first ride, I went with the same three guys that I had my heart attack. We did the exact same ride. And if there's ever a way that I have felt that I've conquered something in my life, it was that moment. Riding right past the area where the heart attack struck me and just confidently and strongly just rode through it. I'm like, yeah, I'm back. I got this. And what a profoundly wonderful feeling that was.
yeah, what I was going to say is, yeah, you went back to conquer the demon, okay, from there, so and finish strong. And now, not that you burn out, now you can put it away on your own terms
Yeah.
and do other things in life now. It's not, I have to do this, but it's there if I want to. But yeah, we've done our part. So it's time to move on.
It's time to move on. And I'll tell you what, Ed, this is something that for those who are wondering, things are figure outable, right? And for me, I launched more. We've talked about that. And I had a second heart attack. We've talked about that. For me to have stayed, or for my wife and I to have stayed where we lived, it would have been really hard to build this business. It would have put a lot of pressure on me financially, because a startup takes nurturing, takes time, takes investment of time and energy and capital. And what we decided, that based on my cardiologist comments in my ear about retiring, I said to myself, no way, I have unfinished business. I'm going to continue to build this platform and find a way to help as many people as I can with the time I have left. However, maybe there's a way to rethink the pressures in our lives, namely the financial pressures. And so we opted to move from one coast to the other. Now we're in the coastal North Carolina, which is a slower pace, lower cost of living market, which has made all the difference. And I think sometimes big changes require bold moves. And for us, I think that was pretty bold because I'm a native Californian. I thought I would never, ever, ever, ever leave, ever. But sometimes you just got to listen to the signals. And that's what brought me here, which has given me and afforded me the chance to really do the business right for more. So for whatever that's worth, I just want to share that
No,
wherever,
no, no,
however
it's
stuck
good.
you're
I'm glad.
feeling, you can find ways. You might have to get out of your comfort zone, but things can be figured out.
Can be figured out. And like you said, may have to take some bold moves. Uh,
Hmm.
don't be afraid of the change.
That's right.
Yes, it's easy to sit in the boat and be in the comfort zone, but don't be afraid to rock the boat for a better you, a better family life,
Y-
and a better example for your family. So, yeah,
Here, here.
don't be afraid to rock
Abs-
the boat for that. So, all right, AJ, hey,
Absolutely.
thank you. I appreciate you being here. Um, Please, when you get your book out in 2026, get a hold of me so we can do a book launch with you and help you out there a little
Thank
bit.
you so much.
So,
That'd be
and
lovely.
anybody else go check out his code three. What's the last part? I forget. The
Life
reinvent
reinvented.
life
Code
reinvented.
three,
Code three
life
life
reinvented.
reinvented.
You
And
bet.
I did look up before we got started. So you were listed in the top 10% of 3.6 million podcasts out there, and your show has been listed in the top 10%. So you're doing something right there. So
Thank you
reaching out
so
to
much.
people. All right,
You bet.
AJ, thank you for coming in. We know people are hurting and struggling. If you can leave us with a positive message, that'd be a blessing, man.
Yeah, and this is something that was I'll share something that was said to me as I was coming out of my recovery of the first heart attack. So I had been doing a lot of yoga prior to that first heart attack, known as what I was doing was power yoga, not the really hot yoga, but power and strength yoga. And that first heart attack again was October 2016, and by about December, I wanted to revisit yoga, but I was too nervous to go back into the yoga studio. So I asked the yoga instructor if she would do a private lesson at our house just for me so I could get my head around, gosh, how does it work as a survivor? I just have all these demons, big and small, I got to work through, and I don't know if
Mhm.
I want to be in a studio and, all these things. So very, very kind and generous came by the house, and we did an hour long practice. And at the end of the yoga session, for those who know yoga, you lay on the mat on the back. It's called savasana, and you just really clear your brain. And it's a very difficult pose, lying still with a clear brain. And I'll never forget something she said. She was reading a poem, and a line from this poem really jumped out at me, and it's what I'd like to share with your audience. And it's so simple at its core, but it really hit for me. And it goes like this: Be yourself, and the hearts that are meant to love you will. And whatever that means for you as you hear it, I think it's just tremendous reinforcement that wherever you are and however you show up, there are people who are need you in their lives, to show up just as you are, and it's okay. And whatever state you're in, wherever you are, in all the ways you can be, um, there are those that will love you no matter what. And I think that is so deep, and I've been carrying it with me for since 2016, so 9 years, and it still means the world to me. If I don't
Oh,
have tattoos, if I ever got a tattoo, that might be the first one I got, but I don't think I'm ever going to get a tattoo. But anyways, I'll leave it at that.
don't put it out of rocking the boat now. All right.
Mhm.
So, well, those saying like you just saying with that quote is the Long Ranger. He had Tonto with him. He wasn't by himself, and Tom Brady couldn't have won those Super Bowls if it wasn't for other people catching the ball. So, yep, we need to surround ourselves with a team that has their best interest for us, and along we have to jump in and have their best interest for them to help everybody, encourage each other to improve. So, well, what's that? I know there's multiple sayings of it, but one saying is, if you're in the if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room, and so
Yeah,
you need
that's
to
for sure.
surround yourself
Yeah.
with other people that's going, to help you out.
Mhm.
I agree with that. So,
Yeah, for me, I definitely need smart people. Wherever
uh,
they are, I go find
it
them
don't
help.
have to be smart people. It could just be people for encouragement,
Yeah. Yeah, you
perseverance,
bet.
the
Mhm.
whoop-de-doo, get up and go, yay, cheerleading. So, yeah, everything. So, all right, AJ, thank you for being here. Yeah, please get back with me with your book launch, and we'll do what we can. Jan Ed Waters from Dead America podcast and MC Nemesis Radio, thank y'all for coming in. Hey, share us out to someone else that can use a little pick me up on a story here. I'm Dr. James Purdue, the professor of perseverance. Do something today, tomorrow, something next week that's going to help you persevere past your paralysis.